Hello. Waking up Instagram as usual. Just takes a moment. There we go. Almost. One more. And there we go. All right. We are now here. So let's see. It is noon. It is June 11th. So most of you who go to school uh, are out of school for the school year. I know my kids still have a few more days. Um, my kids didn't have to go to school so far this week. They're going to go tomorrow, Thursday. And I think that's the only day they have this week because Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday today were exam days. But seniors, if you have a 90% or above in a class and you're a senior and your GPA has to be a certain average, and you have to not get into trouble. and you have to be a senior. And if you fit all of those criteria, then any class that you have a 90% or above in, you don't have to take the exam. So neither one of my kids have to take any of their exams. So they didn't have to go to school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week because it's exams week. But then tomorrow is a regular day. To me, that's weird. We didn't have you had your school days and then the semester ended and then there was the exam week. And if it was the last semester or quarter or whatever of the year, then your last day of classes before the exams was your last day of classes. Then there were the exams and there weren't more classes after that. But for some reason, they have the exams Monday through Wednesday, and then there's a couple more days of classes afterwards. I think it's because I don't know if they're snow day days or what, and they just didn't put them before the exams. They tossed them on after the exams. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it's weird to me that the exams end today and then they have school tomorrow. I'm not sure if they have any classes next week. I'm pretty sure they said they don't have class on Friday. I'm not sure if they have any classes next week, but then they have graduation on Thursday of next week, which, yes, is Juneteenth. And yes, that does tick me off beyond all belief that this town is disrespectful enough to put not just school on Juneteenth, but actually graduation. So that's all the craziness of what's going on right now here at home. Most of you, though, I'm guessing if you go to school or have kids who are in school, are probably done already. We're really late out here in Jersey. So I have a few of you who are popping in and saying hello. We have Sarah says hi. Monique says hi. Hello, my loves. Monique says her daughter isn't finished with school till the end of the month. Her last exam will be the 23rd. That is nuts. Oh, my goodness. And Monique says they do it. You do it there too. It's strange. Yeah, exactly. Right. Nuts. So, all right. And let's see. I'm a little different space. I've been cleaning and reorganizing. So the computer's actually moved over a little bit. And I did not remember to check and see what I can do about the fact that this camera makes everything a little yellow. I know we determined last week that it is a little yellow for everybody. It's the camera making things a little yellow, not my screen. So we will, I will try to remember to actually check that out. Monique says you didn't start till September after Labor Day, which is what we do here too in Jersey. They have both the district where my husband teaches and the district where my kids are at school. Their first day of classes after Labor Day. So, all right, and beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, so I've been doing some cleaning and organizing. I'm still in the process of doing the cleaning and organizing, but we're working on it over here. And as you may have noticed, if you saw the cover image for today's live, we were going to talk about the summer crochet along and knit along. So before the end of the week is up, on the Crochet Foundry blog, here, I'll show you to go over here. Aha, share my screen. All right, so this is Crochet Foundry, and obviously here is the summer issue now available, and you click on here and it'll take you to the summer issue. Yay, you can get that. And then, of course, here is the navigation menu. If you're on a mobile device, there'll be the little 3 lines hamburger menu over here where you can click on that and it'll drop down the navigation menu. And one of those links is blog. So if you click on the blog, what'll happen, I have a bunch of stuff that needs to go up on here. I got really far behind with the trade show and when the magazine was being every single month. There's, a lot of reasons why we switched it over to seasonally, because I just didn't have the time to do anything. So now that I'm finally into seasonally, H&H is over, the trade show, and Kyla's prom is over, so I don't have to, Kyla's dress is done and everything. I finally have time to catch up on things. Over here, there is a crochet along, Cal, C-A-L, crochet along, menu item. And there will be, well, if you go to the blog home, by the end of the week, one of the top articles will probably be the crochet along intro. And if you click on crochet along, it'll show you all the various crochet along posts. And there will be a crochet along intro here for the summer 25 crochet along. And that will be where I will link all of the crochet along posts throughout the summer. Okay. Now, the first pattern for the summer crochet along / knit along is actually the knit version, is an old pattern of mine that I have updated. So here, let me actually share this link with you. If you are knitters, I'm going to go over to where there are the banners and I'm going to toss it on here, add the banner. All right. So there we go. So if you go to jessieathome.com, this is the link you can go to, but if you just go to jessieathome.com, there we go. Then you can search. Again, this would be, if you can't see this menu on your mobile device, if you don't see I'm not sure on mobile, I should check that, if the little search icon, the little magnifying glass shows up, even if the menu is a hamburger menu or not. But if it doesn't show up, you can click the hamburger menu and the little search magnifying glass icon should be there. And you can type in grand old bunting. Oh, look, I seem to be stuck on caps lock. I'm yelling. All right, we'll uncaps lock that. But once the post is up for on Crochet Foundry, the crochet along post, there'll be links to everything. But if you want to take a look at this before I get all that up, you can go to the grand old bunting. And this is a knit pattern, okay? And you cast on the entire string and then you start to bind it off. And when you get to where the first flag is, you make the flag. Bind off some more, make the flag. Bind off some more, make the flag, and so on. And so it's all made in one piece, and you can change the colors for the flags, or you can use the same color for the flag. You'll just have to end the yarn here and then pick it back up over here or whatever. So here is the knit pattern. All right. Here we go. The supplies, the yarn. Okay, it was originally made with Lion Brand Kitchen cotton, which is discontinued now. So the Village Yarn Craft cotton is a good replacement for that, and that is clickable. It's a affiliate link, which means that I get paid. Yay! Because being paid is nice. But you pay the same price. I just get paid the advertisement commission. And there's the amount of yardage you need. So I put in here the bunting cord yardage. So that's just the yardage for the cord part. And then the flag colors, I have 3 sizes. And if you look up here, you can see for each size, the smaller size, which has 9, 11, or 13 flags. The smaller size with less flags also has a smaller flag, and then the flags get bigger and the number of flags on the strand get larger as well. So this tells you the yardage you need for the cord color, and this tells you the yardage you need for a total of 9, 11, or 13 flags, depending on which size. So that way you can say, okay, well, if you're making 9 flags, you can always divide this 165 divided by 9 and figure out how much yardage you need for each flag if you're doing multiple colors. Like if you're doing if you're going to do a scrap buster or something like that. And this works great as a scrap buster if you want each of the flags to be a different color or whatever. The supplies, the stitches you use, it's really basic, easy. Bind off, cast on, knit 2 together. That's it. And where you can get, if you don't want to use the ad supported website and you want to buy the ad free PDF, these are links to where you can buy the ad free PDF. I obviously prefer you buy it from Crochet Foundry because that is where the only fees I have are PayPal. The other places I have to pay the fees to the other sites, but since I own Crochet Foundry, I don't have to pay my own fee. Woohoo! Pattern notes and the actual pattern, optional tassels, and finishing, customization. So I tell you how you can do more or less flags. If you don't want to do the number of flags written in the pattern, this is how you can add or subtract flags, how you can change the space between the flags. Right now, the space between the flags is the same as the width of the flag. So if the flag is 3.5 inches, the space between the flag is 3.5 inches. This is how you can change the width of the flags, how you can change the length of the flags, how you can make a rectangular banner instead of a triangular flag. So lots of customization ideas, and there you go. So that is the knit pattern, and I'm going to look at these comments and then I'll show you what's going on with the crochet version. Let's see, because Monique had a question here. Is it like Lily or Bernat cotton? Totally usable, completely. Your gauge, I'm really not sure. I kind of think the gauge might be a tiny bit thicker for those, but I'm not sure. But it really, with this, it's not a big deal because we're talking bunting that you're going to hang up outside or whatever. If it ends up being a slightly different size, it ends up being a slightly different size. Like if that matters to you, then you'll definitely want to do a gauge swatch and do the math. But honestly, Lily or Bernat cotton is going to be similar enough that I wouldn't stress about it since this isn't a fitted item. Just make sure you use whatever size, if you're doing the knit one, knitting needles, or if you're doing the crochet one, crochet hook, works best with that yarn, okay? So I am in the process of making a crochet. Oh, let me pop up to a big screen of me now. Here we go. And I can take Monique's question off here. All right. I am in the process of making a crochet version, and that will be the next pattern in the crochet and knit along is the crochet version of this. So you can see what I did here was I started off by making the hanging chain. Okay. So I chained it, started at the beginning, and there is, I'm all wrapped up because I did a little frogging. Woo! So many stitch markers. They're so fun though. I have fun stitch markers from Katrinkles. Hold on. Almost. Woohoo! Okay, so you start off with the little loop, right? And then the chain, and you have marks where all of the various flags are going to go, and you go all the way to the end, and you go all the way to the end, and you come back, and then you start slip stitching in the chains back. After you make your little loop, you start slip stitching back. And then I did the single crochet all the way to here, the end of where the flag joins, and then I joined the flag color, and now I'm making the flag. So the flag is almost done, this yellow flag, right? You can see that. The yellow flag is almost done. And then I'll pick up the black and I'll continue slip stitching all the way over to the next marker. And then I'll do the next flag, slip stitch over the next marker, do the next flag, and so on. So this is going to be a really, really simple pattern. I should have it up pretty quickly. Okay, it's just the same idea for this pattern as for the knit version. They're very similar. I'm looking at this now and I'm thinking I may want to make, I need to decide if I'm happy with the flag size. I might actually want to make it a little bigger now that I'm looking at it. I'll have to figure that out. But this would be the small one anyway. And I'm making it in yellow and black because I was looking at the colors of the craft cotton that I happen to have here. And I was like, oh, well, I had yellow, white, green, and black. And I was like, I could do like a nice little summer one with the yellow, white, and green. And then I realized that the black and the yellow are the colors of SCAD, where Kyla is going to college. So I'm like, oh, cool. I will make a little bunting that Kyla can put up in her dorm or even outside her, it'll work outside because it's this cotton. It's okay. If it gets wet and if it gets dirty, you can wash it because it's just cotton. So it'll be great. All right. Sarah has a comment. Beautiful hook, isn't it? It's from Brittany. I don't know that I'm not sure if Brittany, they're mainly knitting needles, Brittany knitting needles mainly. But they did do some crochet hooks for a while. I don't think they're around anymore, but it is a really pretty crochet hook, right? It's gorgeous. I love it. Yeah, their hooks and needles, freaking gorgeous, but they were hard to get a hold of if there wasn't a store that carried them. They weren't always online. Sometimes they were, sometimes they weren't. So, and I don't even think they are around anymore. But I loved them. So I'm not sure what the deal is, but I guess I have this gorgeous 4.5 Brittany crochet hook that makes me happy and is actually very comfortable. And just like the, I like the streamline, Odyssey shape crochet hooks. I love the streamline hooks because they keep me from grasping too hard. They keep me from like holding too hard. And this one does too, because it's not uncomfortable at all. But if I were to hold it hard, it might become uncomfortable. So it keeps me from gripping really hard on my hooks, which is what makes my hands start to hurt. So this one, and it's longer too. I don't know. It's more comfortable to me than a regular straight wood hook, but it's also really pretty. So, yeah, so that's the pattern I'm working on next. So the next post on Crochet Foundry will be on the Crochet Foundry blog will be the intro to the crochet along. So I'll just talk a little bit about it and I'll put up a list of the patterns, and I'll link them as the patterns go live. And a lot of the patterns are old patterns that I'm updating. Like in this case, the grand old bunting. Most of these patterns are from like 2015 when I did the patriotic outdoor party crochet along in 2015. So that's 10 years ago. And most of them were made with Lion Brand Kitchen Cotton because they kind of sponsored the crochet along, and they don't make kitchen cotton anymore. And so I am using new yarn that is current, and also 10 years later, there are things that I was like, ooh, I like it better this way or that way. So I'm also putting in the updates. So that first post will be the intro to the crochet along, and it's where I will put links for each individual pattern. So if you want just the master list of the pattern and the links as the crochet along goes on, those will get added in there. When the crochet along is over, that will be where you find the master list of all the patterns with links. Then the The Grand Old Bunting knit pattern is already up. The crochet pattern hopefully will be up by the end of the week. And let's see, we have a new person came on. Vima's Crochet. Hello. Oh, you just found me. Well, welcome, sweetie. It's nice to have you here. We love new people. So yeah, so the first post that'll come up this week on Crochet Foundry blog, which will hopefully be up either by the end of today or tomorrow, will be the Crochet Along Master List. And then over on Jessie at Home, the Grand Old Bunting is an old pattern that I updated. That's done. But then the next one that'll come up on that, hopefully by the end of the week, will be the crochet version. And then I'll go back to the Crochet Foundry blog, and I'm going to write a post about the crochet and knit patterns. Both of them, a little post about them, talk about some of the modifications you can make. And Vina says it's her first time, and thank you. And yeah, and so we have, let's see, so I'll talk about the crochet and knit versions both, and various modifications you can make. And one of the things I'm doing is, you know how we talked about with Knit the Rainbow, I'm going to be doing a community crochet along project, a community sourcing project for their brain fry, for their booths and everything when they're out and about. And I'm going to have a community sourcing project where I will make patterns for various pride flags, and I'll make them in knit and in crochet, and then I'll community source 5 of each knit and 5 of each crochet, which will make me able to make 10 various buntings. Everybody will make them, send them back to me. I'll put them together into 10 strands of bunting, and then depending on if they're driving to an event or flying to an event, how much room they have, they'll be able to take as many strands of bunting as they need. And that'll all be done for next year Pride. This year's Pride will be happening soon in New York. And so Anzula, I suddenly could not say Anzula. Vina says, hi, Monique. Do you guys know each other already? Did Monique tell you to come and join us? Or are we just saying hi, Monique, because you saw her there? Monica says hi to everybody. Oh, Monica must have just gotten here. Hi, Monica. So Anzula yarn happens to have a couple different bases that they will dye in various pride flag colorways. So they gave me for Knit the Rainbow 6 of the pride flag colorways, and I started off by making just the small size bunting. And guys, this is actually the Cricut yarn that I'm using is a DK yarn, so it is smaller. This is smaller than what you'll get, okay? And I also did some modifications. I'll tell you all about this in the post that I'm going to put on Crochet Foundry, where I talk about different modifications. And this is a combination of crochet and knit. So instead of casting on and binding off, I chained and slip stitched. So I made the chain and the long chain. Instead of casting on the long string, I chained the long string. And then instead of binding off, I slip stitched in the chains. And then when I got to the point where the flag was supposed to be, I just pulled up a loop in each of the places where you would, pick up a stitch and knit into it. I picked up a stitch and knit into the chain. Okay. So I did that so that the flags are knit, but the strings are crochet. So if you crochet and knit both, this modification will be in that post on the Crochet Foundry blog. And this is really, I love doing it this way, because the chaining and slip stitching is so much faster than casting on and binding off, right? But then you still get the knit flag if you want the knit one. Then what I'm doing is, you see, I only put the knit flag on every other space, you can still see the little stitch marker there where there was supposed to be a flag. I put the knit flag, this is all just in the regular Rainbow Pride colorway. I did that all in the regular rainbow colorway. And then I'm going back in. There are 5 spaces that have a little stitch marker here hanging out and waiting for me. And in those 5 spaces, I am now adding in a crochet banner flag. So this is a long rectangular banner. So they'll have the long rectangular banner in the different pride colorways. This is the gay man's flag. And then, and so in different flag colorways. And then in between each one will be just a rainbow little triangular flag. And then there'll be another long rectangular banner in another, like the trans flag colorway. And then another little triangular flag, and then another big rectangular banner in another colorway, and so on and so forth. All right. So I'll put the instructions on how to do this in the Crochet Foundry modification post that will link to both the crochet version and the knit version of the regular banner. All right, so that just gives you really good ideas on various things you can do to modify them in addition to what's already written in the pattern in the customization section. So that's what's going on with that one. And we have a few more comments over here. Dory says hi. Oh, Vima just saw that she was in the chat, and that's why she said hi. Dory says hello. Vima says hello back to Monica. Monique says it looks like fun and a great project for warmer weather. Exactly, right? Because then you don't have all the weight of like a heavy blanket or whatever you're making. You don't have to have it on your lap, and there's not lots of it. Like, it's just nice and cool in your hands. Definitely. We've had some warm days and some cool days lately, and this has been nice to work on. Monique is saying hi to everybody. Monique loves all the colors. Monica says, am I going to make a video? I think what I'm going to do is make a video. I have one more of these to get started. I think what I'm going to do is make the video that will go in the modification one, where I will, I'll see about doing like a little bit about the a little bit about the crochet one, a little bit about the knit one, and then a little bit about this one. Like I've been thinking about what are the points where you need a video. So I'm not going to do like the full size, but what I might do is like do a little mini something to show you, a little mini version just to show you the main skills that you need, and then to really show you how to combine the two. Okay. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I've been thinking about that a lot, and I will probably do videos, work on making the videos over the weekend. Obviously on Saturday is the 14th, and that's when all the No Kings protests are. So the kids and my husband Doug is actually going to be in Canada for a event in Canada, medieval event up in Canada, having fun. He leaves Thursday morning and he comes back Sunday night. So on Saturday, the kids and I will be at one of the protests, but I think that's just in the morning. So I should be able to work on some of the videos later on Saturday evening and Sunday morning, because Sunday is Father's Day, but Doug doesn't get home till Sunday afternoon. So we're not going to celebrate till later on Sunday. So hopefully I'll be able to get the videos done over the weekend. Monica, how am I switching from knitting to crochet on the flags? It's actually ridiculously simple, Monica. What I did was I started off with the knit version. You start off by casting on the entire length of the string. Okay, so that's like 300 to 600 stitches, depending on which size you're making. Okay, so that's why you use circular needles. Even though you're not working in the round, you want to use the circular needles so that you can hold all the stitches, right? So you start off by casting on all of those stitches, and then you bind off to the point where you're ready to make the flag, and then you knit the first row. So you have those cast on stitches, you bound off all the way to here, and you knit the first row. You get to the end of where the flag is, and you actually connect the new color, and then you knit on those stitches. That was the beginning of the beginning of the flag. Then you end the new color, and then you cast off bind off to the next flag. When you're doing crochet, you chain the full length of the string, and then you slip stitch back into the chain until you get where the flag is. And then you do like a row of single crochet for the beginning of the flag, stick a stitch marker in there, and then add a new color and do the flag and and keep going. When you do both, chain the full thing, slip stitch it back to where the first flag is, single crochet to the end of the first flag, or no, back to where the flag is. Then what you do is you insert your hook into, you single crochet, you slip stitch until you're at where the flag begins. You put the loop that's on your hook onto the yarn needle, so that's your first stitch, and then you insert the hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, slip it onto the knitting needle. That's your second stitch. Insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, slip it on the knitting needle. That's your third stitch. So what you're doing, it's kind of like it's like beginning a Tunisian crochet row where you insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a stitch, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and you do that all the way across until you have all of the loops that you need for the flag, and those are all on your knitting needle. And then you can change color if you're changing colors and knit the flag. And then when you're done with that, you go ahead and pick up the color from the chain, from the string, and slip stitch until you get to the next flag. And this will all be explained in there. Let's see. That's a lot of bunting, 300 stitches. Well, it's actually here. Let's see on my pattern here. All right, so the bunting that has 9 flags starts off with, when you're knitting, it starts off with 402 stitches for the smallest size, 762 for the largest size. The first and last 30 get, once they're bound off, you fold over 30 stitches and stitch it, use the tail to sew it together so that you have the little loop at the end, because I like having the little loop at the end to hang it on things, right? So after you've done that, the smallest size is 74.5 inches, which is, isn't 72 inches 6 feet? So just over 6 feet for the smallest size, 146 inches for the largest. So let me divide that by 12. 146 divided by 12. Oh, wait, that's going to be like, oops, not divided by 2. Isn't 144 12? That's going to be like 12 feet. Yeah, that's like 12 feet long for the longest size, for the largest size. So you can decide, and I do explain in the customization how to do more or less flags. So if you want the larger flags, but you don't want 12 feet of the larger flags, you can just do the math, because that's why I gave you in the, here, if you see the, here we go. All right. So if you look, all right, in the sizes, here we go, finished measurements, all right? So I tell you the full length of the full bunting, right? But I also tell you the flag width, and the flag width and the space in between are the same. So if you want the wider flags that are 5.2 inches, and you want them to have 5.2 inches between them, each other, but you don't want it to be 12 feet long, you just say, okay, so for each flag and the space is what, 10.5 inches. So almost a foot. If I only want it to be 6 feet, then I only want to make like 6 flags. It'll be a little longer, because then you have, obviously, there's the extra space after the first one and after the last one, and the little loops on each end. And you can do just 6 flags instead of 13. It's really simple. It's explained in the customization at the end, but all you do is, the way that I wrote this cast on, and also the starting chain for the crochet one, is that I didn't just write, you know, cast on 402 or chain 402 or whatever. What I did was cast on 66, place marker. So that's like where your first flag starts. And then you're going to cast on 36, place marker 8 times, or 44 10 times, or 52 12 times. So each one of those is an additional flag. So your first flag is included in the original cast on where you place the marker, right? Because your next row you'll be working back the opposite direction, so it'll be marker and then flag. So there's the first one plus 8 more will give you a total of 9 flags, or plus 10 or 12 will give you 11 or 13. So if you're doing this, the one that makes 13 flags, the largest size, but you only want there to be 6 flags, instead of doing this 12 times plus the original to make 13, you do it 5 times plus the original to make 6. And then you do the final cast on, which is the string at the end. And then you turn, and the way I wrote the flags is I wrote the first flag and then all the remaining flags. Okay, which is exactly the same as the first flag, essentially. So you just then do that all the way back, and it's super, super simple to change the number of flags you've done. And then at the end, I also explain what you need to do to make your flags wider or thinner, and to make your space between the flags wider or thinner. So you really can customize this to be whatever you want, and you can, you know, if you are doing a different gauge, you can figure it out, whatever floats your boat. And if you come to our sit and stitches, I will happily help you with the math. Okay. So if you have a question about the math, come to one of the sit and stitches. I will be more than happy to help you with the math. Do we do it like a professional cast on? Let me take it depends on how you do a provisional cast on. But it is not made with a professional cast on. There are some similarities if you use a crochet hook to do a provisional cast on, which I do. Then there are definitely some similarities in how you can use the crochet hook to get started with the chain. I'll do videos on the various techniques, but you don't need to do it. It's not made with a provisional cast on, because you don't need to get rid of the you're not working on both sides of it. Like to make as many prag flags as you can fit. I'd love to make them all, then I can put it in my window. Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to make those patterns. So obviously, if you're getting the yarn support to make the flags for Knit the Rainbow, then you'll have to make the flags for Knit the Rainbow. But then you'll probably have leftover yarn, and you can make more. And if you buy your own yarn, you can obviously make as many as you want. Hang flags for birthdays. There we go. This is a great idea for those. It is, because they're reusable. They don't get torn, and they're not paper or cardboard or anything. And you can make them in the kids' favorite colors. You can make them that say happy birthday on them by you can embroider those on there, or you can do surface crochet on whatever floats your boat, right? And if you make it with a yarn that's washable, it becomes washable. And Monique agrees with Monica. You use a crochet hook for the for your provisional cast on, but I mentioned it's like Tunisian crochet, so you get this. You think, yeah, it's like I said, there's gonna be videos for all of those various techniques. Like if you're making the knit one the way it's written, or the crochet one the way that it's going to be written, it's all good. But as you start doing some of the customizations where you're using both knit and crochet at the same time, those will be explained on the Crochet Foundry post, and I will have videos for anything that I think might be confusing. There will be videos. Okay, it's just that I had already started this because it needs to be done soon. So I just was kind of explaining it to you, but don't worry if your head is swimming. It will be clear with the way that it's written, and it will be clear with the videos. All right. I always do my best to make sure everything is easy for you to do, with pictures, with charts, with videos, with whatever we need. Okay. All right. So it's 12:40. So we have a little bit. We don't have to go till 1, but I'm just going to show you. I can't remember if I showed you some of the other samples that I have when I was redoing some of the patterns that were made in discontinued yarns. So I'm just going to show you some of the samples. There was one pattern that was knit that I feel like there were more, but I just may not have grabbed them all. Yeah, there was at least one more. Do I see it? No. There was a pattern that's knit that we're redoing that is a mitered square coaster. Okay, so a mitered square is where you start off with a if you're starting from the outside and working in, you start off casting on twice the side of a square. So if you're making a 3-inch square, then you're casting on 6 inches worth of stitches, right? So you cast on that, and then what happens is in the middle you do decreases, and that makes the square close. So you have like this, right? And it comes in and just keeps getting smaller and smaller until it ends right here. So I had that knit pattern and I used it first with this scrubby yarn. Okay, so you can see this is the cast on edge right here. Okay, so we cast on here, and then as we go, we knit, decrease, knit, and then knit, decrease, knit, and that's how you get this mitered square, right? So I actually did 2 different mitered squares in the scrubby yarn, and then I sewed them together, and I actually shoved all of the ends. I left kind of long ends and shoved all of the ends inside of all of this so that it's stuffed a tiny bit to make it a nice thick scrubby for scrubbing pots and pans. All right, so that I did. We have a few things. Yes, I'm showing. All right, so there you go. So that's a knit mitered square, and I have that pattern, and I will write just like before where I had the knit version of the pattern. I then wrote a crochet version for this crochet along. So I'll update the knit version, and then I'll also write a crochet version for the crochet along. Okay, I can't remember. I might have one, I might not. I'll have to look. If I have one, I'll update it. If I don't have one, I'll write one. So there's that. But then, like with modifications, like I was saying, this is a modification where it was supposed to be a coaster. The pattern is written as a coaster, but instead what I did was I used a scrubby yarn. I made 2 of them and sewed them together to make a pot scrubber. So that'll be listed with all of these patterns. I'll have the patterns on Jessie at Home, and then they'll be linked in the original crochet along post. So you can find all of the patterns. That'll be over, that crochet along original post will be happening in the next couple days over on Crochet Foundry. And then for each set, like crochet and knit set of patterns, some of them will have sets, some of them won't. But for each set of patterns or individual pattern that doesn't have a partner, I will have a post on Crochet Foundry about additional modifications. So, as you saw, when you're within the pattern, like this is the pattern for the knit bunting, right? At the end of the pattern, I have the customization tips. So this is some modifications, but then we'll go ahead and do like more modifications and try to do things where you can mix the knit and crochet one together over on Crochet Foundry. All right. So one of the variations for the coasters is to make 2 with the scrubbies, attach them so that you have a thick, nice scrubby for cleaning out your pots, pans. This is the same exact pattern. I made it bigger, and this is with the same yarn that I used. I said I also had that yarn in green and white. So this is the same yarn that I used for the crochet version of the, that I'm using for the crochet version of the bunting. I made the mitered coaster a little bit bigger, and I stopped early, so it didn't go all the way to make a point. And then I just I used a crochet. What I did was I made a single crochet. I stopped it at the end, and then I did the bind off, right? And then when there was the one stitch left at the end, I tossed that on my crochet hook, and I did a round of single crochet around, and then then I just did, to make a tie string, I did a chain and then turn and slipped a stitch into the chain, more single crochets, chain, slip stitch, turn, slip stitch into the chain. So I actually crocheted a round of single crochet around it, and you have this cute little bib for a baby, right? So it looks like a bikini right here. Monique says, also say that she loves the colors with the purples. Well, awesome, Monique, because these are current colorways. So those are all current colorways, and I'll give you the links to those in the pattern. Looks way better than your scrubby, but it's puffy. Yes, mine is puffy because of how I made it, and that'll be in the modification post. This looks like a baby bikini top. You could totally use it. Like, you could tie it, you could do the strings here, right? And then you could also add a set of tie strings here. I'm still going to put that in the post, Sarah. I love you, and I'm going to credit you. I'll link to your YouTube page too. I'll add in that you could put tie strings right here as well when you're doing it, and it would be a really cute little baby summer top. So yeah, Monique agrees. I love it. You guys are awesome when you come up with these cute ideas. So yeah, then let's see. I also there was a knit entrelac star, which already has a video and everything. So the knit entrelac star, again, I used it as a coaster. But for this, I used the Hirschner's Miami yarn, and I made Miami as an amigurumi, not Miami as in Florida. As soon as I said it out loud, I realized that. I made it in 2 different colors, and then I stuck them together and stuck a little face on it, and it's just like a cute little stuffy, right? Or you could do this, and you could fill it with the little poly palette fillings or whatever, and make it like a bean bag for like cornhole or whatever. That would be really fun. So that's a modification for that one. And then I have a crochet star as well. That was originally Stars and Stripes bunting that was made with little crochet stars. And again, I made it in 2 different colors with crochet with scrubby yarn. And then I stuffed it, and I actually even like wrapped some around it to like pull in the little spaces between, because it got a little weird with all the stuffing and everything. So again, that's another variation where I used it to make a scrubby. And then, because you can just keep making the pattern bigger and bigger, just keep doing repeats to make it bigger and bigger, I made this little piece with this nice fuzzy yarn, right? It's called Squishy. So this yarn is called Squishy, which is great because every time I use it, I go, oh, squishy, squishy, squishy. And my husband looks at me like I've lost my mind, which I lost my mind years ago. So I did this with the Squishy, and then I'm making another one the same exact size with the white Squishy. And what I'm going to do is I will take this, and when I do the modification post, I'll talk about doing this, but I'll also talk about how to then take this and like trace it onto fabric and make a lining to make a pillow. So what this will be is this will be a pillow. I'll make a fabric pillow that goes inside of it and stuff that with fiberfill with stuffing, and then put the 2-sided pillow top on top of it. Okay, that's made with the crochet. So that'll be a little bonus in the crochet Foundry crochet along post, will be how to do that when you get to these patterns. Okay, so there's just some of them. There are other patterns that I just don't have samples for yet. And yeah, so it's a lot of fun. It's going to be all the way through the end of August will be the summer crochet along. And that first post that's going to go up in the next couple days that will be over on Crochet Foundry blog. Let me show you once again. If you go to, where's my mouse? There we go. If you go to Crochet Foundry, crochetfoundry.com, and you click on blog, it will take you. Okay, first let me show you something, because if you're searching for a blog post, you cannot search for the blog post when you're on crochetfoundry.com, because the blog is technically on a different site. Like you see right now, it says crochetfoundry.com. When I click on blog, it's crochetfoundryblog.com. This is a separate site. So now if you're searching on the blog, you need to search when you're on the blog. And if you're searching on Crochet Foundry, you need to search when you're actually on Crochet Foundry. So crochetfoundry.com or crochetfoundryblog.com, you can only search whichever one you're in when you're in it. All right. So there will be a post up here that will have the main crochet along post, but you can also click on the crochet along. It's a crochet along and knit along. I keep saying crochet along, but it's a crochet along and knit along. So if you click on this, you'll get all the crochet along posts, and they'll be in chronological order. So the most recent one will be at the top. But even if we're like 5, 6 posts in, every single post that is for this crochet and knit along, at the towards the top of the post, there'll be a link for going to the main post of the crochet along and knit along. So if you click on that one and you go to that main post, it's going to be up in the next couple days. That main post will have the links to everything. So it'll have the master list of links for the crochet and knit along. All right. So that'll be a great way to make sure that you're always up to date on what's going on. I got everything sorted with my newsletter provider, so you'll start getting the newsletters again, and that will have all the information as well. So again, if you are not on the newsletter, if you go to crochetfoundry.com, and no matter what sort of a device you're on, if you scroll to the bottom, there's not very far to go on just the main homepage there, you get to join the newsletter and you can sign up for the newsletter. Okay. And that'll always keep you up to date on what's going on. And there was something else I was going to say. I had it in my brain. It just ran out of my brain. Oh, right. Sit and stitches. So again, if you go to community, under community is the event calendar. All right, you'll see when the sit and stitches are. So today we had one. Where's today? The 11th. We had a Patreon one this morning, right before this. But a week from today, the ones that say at the Foundry, so the at the Foundry afternoon sit and stitch, these are open to anyone. All right. You don't have to be a Patreon member to go to them. So this at the Foundry afternoon sit and stitch, that is next week on Wednesday from 1 to 3 Eastern, which means the live that we do every Wednesday, the lunchtime live with lunch with the Foundry that we do every Wednesday, is from 12 to 1 Eastern every Wednesday. And so next week, as soon as this is over, we have the sit and stitch. Okay. And if you go to the event calendar on Crochet Foundry and you click on that, you will see all the important information. You can add it to your own calendar. There's different calendars you can add it to if you have one of those. And there's the link to where you can register to join it. And yeah, so the first and third Wednesday of each month, we have at the Foundry sit and stitch. The first Wednesday, it's from 7 to 9 p.m. And the third Wednesday, which is what next week will be, it is from 1 to 3 p.m. And then the second and fourth Wednesday, we have patron creator social sit and stitch, whatever you want to call it. And those are only for people who are Patreon members, okay, who are paid Patreon members. So if you are not a paid Patreon member, they are twice a month. the first and the third Wednesday. The first Wednesday, it's in the evening from 7 to 9 Eastern, and the third Wednesday, it's in the afternoon from 1 to 3 Eastern, or the morning if you live on the East Coast there, West Coast there. All right, so hopefully I will be seeing a bunch of you next week. We will really be into the crochet along by then. And like I said, if you come to that sit and stitch next week that's happening right after this, if you want to make any adjustments to either of, I'll make sure that both the knit and crochet versions of the bunting pattern are up by then. And if you want to make any adjustments to the size of your flags, the number of your flags, the space between the flags, we can totally do that during the sit and stitch. I will help you with the math. I'm more than happy to do that. It is beneficial if you have, if you know what your gauge is by then, just maybe just knit up or crochet up like a 5 or 6 inch square and measure your gauge, so you know how many stitches you have in 4 inches. And that'll really help us if you have exact sizes you want. If you don't have like exact measurement sizes you want, then, but you just know you want more or less flags or more or less space between them or whatever, then we don't need to worry about your gauge. But if you're going for an exact like measurement, then obviously you need to know your gauge in order for us to do that. And since that can take a little bit of time, it would be beneficial to do that before the sit and stitch. Okay, but I am happy to help you with any pattern. It doesn't even have to be mine. I'm happy to help you with any pattern at the sit and stitches. All right. I have been doing this forever, crocheting since I was 8, knitting since I was like 20 something. I'm like nearly 50 at this point, and I've done every single art imaginable. I have a costume design degree. I used to be a costume designer. Like most questions you have, guys, I can answer. If it's got to do with art or anything fiber, I can probably answer the question. And if I can't, I probably know somebody who can. So bring those questions. I love helping. It fulfills me to be able to help you. Okay. So yeah. All right. Monique agreed. Sarah loves that we're going to do that. And so does Monique, that we're going to make the little baby top idea in the modification post. All right, guys, I have absolutely adored chatting with you. I am super excited about this crochet along. I hope you are too. And I am like, there are not words for how excited I am about the fact that Crochet Foundry is now seasonal, and I can give you guys the attention you deserve, and I can give Crochet Foundry the social attention and everything that it deserves as well, so that everything can happen. I hated not being able to give you guys the attention you deserved and not being able to get everything done that I wanted to get done. So this is just absolutely spectacular. And of course, the seasonal issues of Crochet Foundry are freaking fab. So you should definitely be getting them. There's a discount if you buy the current issue plus the next 3. So if you get a full year's worth, there is a discount for that. So I'm so excited about all of this, guys. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. And it's perfect timing because my twins are graduating high school this, next week, and everything. It's a whole new phase for all of us. So this is totally exciting. And Krista, one of our models, just joined us on Instagram just as we're closing. But it's nice to see you, Chris. All right, guys, I will see you next week. And like I said, I got everything finally sorted with the newsletter provider, so that you'll start getting those newsletters again. All right. I'll talk to you later, guys. You are amazing. Have a wonderful day. And if you are protesting on Saturday or any day, remember to follow the safety things you need to follow. Think about your own health as well. Make sure you have plenty of water. Make sure people know where you are. Make sure people know what time to start worrying about you. If you are not able to protest, because health reasons, whatever, you're not protesting but you want to do something, My brother is alive today because he gotten beaten at a protest. The cops beat the medics and arrested the medics, and my brother was beaten and he had a punctured lung and cracked rib, and the police arrested him and put him in jail, and then the other medics convinced the cops that he was going to die if he didn't get medical help. So they just let him go, like, so he could just walk out of the police station, right? He wouldn't have made it to the hospital. He would have probably died in the parking lot. But when he walked out of the police station, there were people who knew that the medics had been arrested, and some of the protesters too. They knew that people had been arrested, so they were hanging out by the police parking lot with their cars. So as people were released from the police department, they could give them rides. When my brother came out, somebody went and gave him a ride to the hospital, and that's why he's alive today. So if you don't feel safe going to the protests for whatever reason, but you want to do something, that's one of the things you can do. Is if there are arrests at protests near you, you can drive over to the police station where they're going to be processed, to give people rides when they're released. Okay. You can always drive over to the protest and drop off flats of water, but not actually protest yourself. There are tons of things you can do. So just make sure that no matter how much you want to be a part of the protest, make sure you're doing what works for you, for your own mental and physical health. Okay. And there are ways you can help that don't involve protesting if that is not what works for you. All right. And if you are protesting or helping on Saturday, then I wish you the best of luck and health and all of that. See you guys. Bye-bye.